God be with you, Henry. Good to see you, lad. Sir Hanush told me you won his tourney. Good job, Henry. See you later. God be with you, lad. What can I do for you?
Sir, can I ask you about something?
Of course, Henry.
Well, I thought since we chased the bandits out of Pribyslavitz, the roads would be safer.
Ah, criticizing your liege lord, are you? And what, in your opinion, should he do about it?
Oh no, I don't mean anything by it. Just that it surprises me.
Easy, lad. I'm only pulling your leg. You're quite right. The roads really aren't safe. Mostly due to one thing. My garrison is a shamble these days. I lost most of my men in Skalitz, and what I'm left with after Pribyslavitz is hardly enough even to guard Pigstein. Let alone guarding the roads and patrolling the rest of the province. I simply don't have the men.
Uh-huh. I understand.
That is, I didn't have the men. As it happens, you've come at just the right time. Recently, I asked an old acquaintance for help. Sir Kuno of Rickwald and his mercenary band. The men who ride with him are a rough lot, mostly former convicts, but they're as capable as any squad of soldiers.
Well, excuse me for being so bold, but there's plenty of mercenaries around. Surely you can find a more respectable band?
You have a point, lad, but I'd like to tell you I talked to Kuno because I trust him. But actually my reasons are of a more pragmatic nature. You see, Kuno owes me a favor, so he'll serve me free of charge.
So, you want me to join them?
Yes, but that's not all. I told Kuno I'd send him a guide. But really what I need is for someone to keep a close eye on him and his men. Someone reliable. And I'd say you fit the part. Go and report to him at his encampment. You'll ride with his band on patrols and make sure they don't get too disorderly.
Who is this Sir Kuno of Rickwald?
He's the last baron of the House of Rickwald, which became impoverished. So he took to the mercenary trade, like many poor noblemen do, unless they become robbers. Which often isn't all that different. He's certainly an entertaining companion, but as a mercenary, well, let's just say he has his own particular approach to certain matters.
That sounds a little worrying.
Oh, it's nothing too bad. Just that now and again he needs reminding not to step over the line.
How is he indebted to you?
I did him quite a big service, actually. I saved him from the hangman.
Oh, that sounds like quite a story. How did it happen?
You should ask him. You'll be spending quite a while riding together, so it'll help pass the time. But one thing I can tell you, he seems to have taken inspiration from me. A lot of his men had their own encounters with the executioner too.
Who is this Sir Kuno of Rickwald?
He's the last baron of the House of Rickwald, which became impoverished. So he took to the mercenary trade, like many poor noblemen do, unless they become robbers. Which often isn't all that different. He's certainly an entertaining companion, but as a mercenary, well, let's just say he has his own particular approach to certain matters.
That sounds a little worrying.
Oh, it's nothing too bad. Just that now and again he needs reminding not to step over the line.
All right. I'll go and report to him.
Excellent. He set up camp between Ratai and Ledechko. It's a good base for covering the province. Good luck, Henry. And watch out for yourself.
I will, sir. Thanks.
Good luck, then.
Hey, Henry's come to see us.
For the kitchen or the field, my fine wares will brighten your every day.
I'd like to enroll in the big tournament.
You'll have to wait a few days until Sir Hanush announces another one. Come then, and I'll gladly sign you up.
God save you, Henry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be with you. I'm looking for Sakuno. Sakuno? Baron Rickvold. Isn't this his camp?
You won't get nothing out of him. You must be Radzig's man. I heard he was supposed to send someone.
Yes, Sir Radzig sent me as a guide. I'm Henry.
I'm Jakey. And this here fella, we call the Stone.
I can see why. What's up with him? Cat got his tongue?
No, more like the dog got it. The executioner's dog. When the executioner ripped it out of him. Anyway, you better come along with me. I'll introduce you to the other fellas. And the chief. These here are the Bearman brothers, Petter and Jan. They're a barrel of laughs, except when they're too drunk to string two words together. Like now. Don't get on the wrong side of them, though. When their blood is up, well, it ain't a pretty sight.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
Never mind the fancy poses, Stefan. You're trying to kill the fucker, not teach him how to dance. And you, Dangler, stand your ground. Don't let him lead you round by the nose.
Sir? Well, sir, this is Henry. From Lord Kobula.
Ah, it's about time Radzig got round to this. We need someone who knows their way around these parts. Leave off with the bowing and curtsying. We don't hold with that tomfoolery here. Jakey! Where the hell are you sneaking off to? Go to the farm and get water. The lads are thirsty.
But I went last time.
And you'll go next time, you ungrateful pup. Get your ass moving. Snot-nosed brat. You put them out of a pile of shit, and they thank you with back talk. Where were we? Oh yeah. We need a guide who knows these parts. So I hope I can rely on you, Herman.
It's Henry.
Right. Well, as I said to Radzig, I don't want to carry any dead weight. We could find ourselves in some very tight situations where every sword counts.
I know how to handle a sword, all right?
I've heard a lot of fellas say that. They still ended up on the wrong end of one. We'll find out. Stefan, take a break. Dangler, let's find out what Harold here can do.
Sure. No problem, Chief.
No more. You didn't fare badly at all, I must say. You can ride with us.
All right, good. Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. You don't know what you're letting yourself in for.
Sir Kuno, can you tell me something about yourself?
Drop the sir. That title brought me nothing but grief. But what do you want to know?
Sir Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished. Nothing easier. Especially when your father's a fool, and your mother's mad as a bat.
Oh.
But it's a long and twisted story. We took our name from Rickvold Castle, but that actually belonged to the convent of the Poor Clares in Tynitz, and my father only leased it. You see, he knew the abbess there since they were young. Knew her very well. There was even talk that she only joined the order because her family wouldn't let her marry him. Anyway, whether he was fucking her right there in the convent, or he just took a lot of interest in scripture, he spent an awful lot of time in Tynitz.
Oh, he might have been after a bit of both.
Sinning and confessing all in one place. Well, I can see the convenience of it. Anyway, my mother never had strong nerves. Truth be told, her sanity was always shaky. Pa's escapades drove her cuckoo entirely. Then, one frosty December morning, I was woken by screaming and smoke. I looked out the window. I saw my mother there, in the courtyard, wreathed in flames. Behind her, the stables, the farm buildings and the tower were burning too. And she just stood there, shrieking with laughter.
Christ, that sounds like a scene straight out of hell.
Hellish it was, I can tell you. Me and my sister Adela and a few servants managed to get out before the whole place went up. I couldn't get to my father. Or my little brother. Poor lad was only 7. My sister and I were left destitute after the fire. But then my cousin, Adam of Drevich, took us into his castle. A few weeks later, he offered to buy what was left of our estates and sell me a small fortress near a Kovnik. It was a great relief. We suddenly had some hope of a future again. So I told my sister about it. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. A week later, the two of them announced to me they were getting married. And all that was left of our estates, lands, woods, villages, Adela was to get it all as a dowry.
But surely that was for you to decide. You were the head of the family, right?
Aye. Only I barely had 17 years under my belt, and I'd just lost everything. Of course, I argued with them, and that was the only excuse they needed to kick me out of Drevich too.
That's pretty harsh.
You're telling me. But I'm not complaining. As my pa always used to say, if you can turn your hand to something, you'll never be lost. I doubt it ever crossed his mind how often I'd remember those words.
Sir Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished. Nothing easier. Especially...
Oh.
but it's a long and twisted story. You see, anyway.
Well, nobles can be very devout sometimes.
Not my old man. He cursed like a tanner's hand. More than once, he threatened to take a whip to our parish priest. Anyway, my mother never had strong nerves. Truth be told, her sanity was always shaky. Pa's escapades drove her cuckoo entirely. Then, one frosty December morning...
Christ, that sounds like...
Hellish it was. My sister and I were... A few weeks later, it was a great relief. A week later...
But surely that...
Aye. You're telling me?
What about your debt to Sir Radzig? How did that come about?
A twist of fate, lad. I was fighting in the hostilities between the House of Schallenberg and the town of Colleen. Some trade dispute it was, and I fought under the Schallenberg colours. In the end, the two sides negotiated a truce, and I rode to Colleen with the delegation that was to parley there. We stopped off at an inn on the way, and it was there that I met Radzig Kobyla. I could tell at first sight he was a man after my own heart. A likeable rogue, with a sharp mind and a merry soul. We spent the whole night drinking together and talking, and in the morning we set off together, with sore heads, but in good temper, since he was travelling to Colleen same as I was. Only, once we reached the city gates, they arrested me on the spot. Seems the burghers had it in for me, since I'd been making their lives hell for a good 6 months. On the other hand, I was a member of the peace delegation, so by rights, they shouldn't have even looked at me sideways. And then it hit me why Radzig was there. Colleen is a royal city, so he was there to represent the king's interests.
I see. So he was on the other side.
That's right. Anyway, they threw me in a dungeon, and a few days later word reached me that the Schallenbergs had reached an agreement with the burghers. Only part of the deal was they would give them my head. And I'd surely have ended my days swinging from the town battlements if it hadn't been for Radzig. He liked me, and he could see it was a dirty trick, so he somehow squared things with the city council.
Lucky for you.
Indeed. I owe my life to Radzig, and I'll never forget it. He's asked me twice before for help. This is the third time, and how could I refuse him?
I'd like to ask about your men.
Ask away.
What about the fellow they call Dangler?
I've never ridden with a better man, I can tell you. He doesn't say a lot, but for that, he listens all the better. Nothing escapes him.
So he scouts for you?
Not just that. It's happened more than once. I was closing a deal with someone, and Dangler told me after that he didn't like the smell of the fellow. Nearly every time he was right, and the fellow tried to stab me in the back afterwards.
Those Behrman brothers are quite a pair.
Indeed they are. There's no more mercy in them than in, well, a bear. If I told them to skewer you on the spot, they'd do it, without batting an eyelid.
Jesus.
Oh, aye. They'd argue first about which one of them got to do the job. But they're as obedient as a huntsman's dogs. Real soldiers, the pair of them. Reliable, as long as they don't get too drunk. Then there's no keeping them under control. But nobody's perfect.
What can you tell me about Stefan?
Fletching? For one thing, he's a very resourceful fellow.
How did he come to join your band?
Well, let's just say he was in the right place at the right time. You'll find he has quite a knack for that.
What exactly happened?
Sorry, I'd love to tell you the whole story, but I'd be betraying his trust.
Oh, now you've got me curious. Maybe I should ask him myself.
Sure, why not? Our Fletch does love to converse.
What about that dumb one? How did he end up with you?
The stone? Oh, he just kind of tagged along.
Just like that?
Aye, just like that. We were riding from Olomouc to a castle past Kladsko, when we ran into him and some other wayfarers camping along the way. You know how it goes. We made acquaintance with them, had a drink or two. Then we travelled on together. After all, there's safety in numbers.
I'm not sure I'd be thinking that if I ran into you lot on the road.
We might have done some things I ain't proud of. But wayfarers are sacred even for me. Anyway, our fellow travellers dropped off along the way. One in Mohelnitz, one in Schoenberg, and the rest in Kladsko. Except for the stone. He stuck with us the whole way. The fellas kept asking him what he was after. But of course he never said a word. When we were approaching Barsdorf, I ordered the men to get rid of him. I had some business at the castle, and I didn't want any strangers sticking their noses in. Stefan tried to tell him nicely, but he just sat there, staring like he was turned to stone. That's when we gave him the name. Then the Bearman brothers tried to get him off his horse. He booted Jan in the face and knocked him out cold. Then he jumped down and felled Petter with one punch. Well, a man who can do that is a man you want on your side. So we kept him.
Weren't you worried about having a stranger in your band? Especially one who didn't talk.
No, I figured if he can't talk, he can't tell. Besides, I've had worse.
What about Jakey?
Jakey, that boy will be the death of me. You've got to be tough on him, or he's good for nothing. But I'm fond of him, in a way.
Like a son?
I wouldn't go that far. But I've no family of my own. And unlike those other cutthroats, he seems to me like a good lad.
Well, you're pretty hard on him, though. And the others keep him on his toes, too.
A boy needs a firm hand. I was like him once, and I got the same too. If we let him be, we'd end up with a third bear man. And who'd want that?
True. 2 is more than enough.
Hey, mate. Henry, I want to have a word with you. Frantic man. I want to talk to you.
Can you tell me something about yourself, Jan?
Why not? I haven't been to confession for a while.
How did you end up in Kuno's band?
It's nothing new for me and my brother. We've been fighting for coins since we were old enough to carry swords. Last time we rode with one Lombardian by the name of Collini. All over Bavaria, Austria and that.
What happened? Did you fall out?
Nah, we just wanted to come back to Bohemia. You know how it is. Where no one understands a word you say, it ain't worth a damn.
You and Petter seem very close.
As brothers should be, lad.
To tell the truth, I'd never have guessed the two of you came from the same mother.
Oh, we've got the same ma, all right. I ain't got no ma, and neither does he. And the same goes for our pa. It's probably Satan himself.
Oh. I'm a bit confused. You're not actually brothers.
We might be. We might not. A band of mercenaries found us in a village when I was still a baby, and Petter hardly walking. Playing in the dirt together we was. Their leader took a shine to us for some reason. He took us away and raised us up. Raised us with swords for playthings and ale for mother's milk. A few years later, he was killed in Saxony. The band fell apart, but we joined another right away. That's the way it's been ever since, over and over.
So you two never had... well,
A normal life. We ride from one fight to another, risking our necks and killing who they pay us to kill. That's normal for us. Always has been.
Henry, I want to have a word with you.
Why's that? They say someone there owes them a pint.
Can you tell me something about yourself?
What do you want to know?
Why do they call you Dangler?
Because Kuno found me dangling on the end of a rope.
Ah, I see. So, he saved you from execution?
I wouldn't call it an execution exactly. At the time I was squire to the Lord of Buzitz. There was a proper knight for you, full of ideals and honour. I looked up to him as a hero. Then in one skirmish he was killed, and the foe took me captive. They stood me on a shaky wooden cross with my hands tied behind my back and a noose around my neck. For amusement. Then they rode off laughing.
But how long were you stuck there?
I couldn't tell you. Hours, maybe days. In the end, everything started going black. I could feel the devil pulling me down by the legs.
Jesus! How on earth did you survive?
I didn't. When Kuno found me, he says I was dead as a doornail. They cut me down and took the rope off me. Then someone gave me a kick and I coughed and came back to life. Sort of.
Henry, I want to have a word with you. Hey, mate. I want to talk to you. Henry, I want to have a word with you.
What is it, Jakey?
The stone wants to talk with you, if you can call it that. Probably about that ring.
What ring?
Ah, no one told you about it. The fellas call it the Ring of Bacchus. It's a kind of game we play. Kuno gave us this ring. It's just a worthless bauble. But when we're at the tavern, Kuno pays everything for the man who has the ring. So we steal the ring from each other and try to trick each other. Well, actually, just the others. They won't let me play. Kuno says I'm too young to get boozed up.
That sounds like a lot of fun. But I don't have the ring, so why does the stone want to see me?
He probably wants you to steal it from someone. Since you're new, the fellows will talk to you, and it won't be suspicious.
All right, I'll have a word with him. Hey, Jakey, can you tell me something about yourself?
Want to get matey, eh? Sure, Henry. What do you want to know?
How did you end up in Kuno's band?
Well, I used to be a baker's hand in Prague, but all the other fellas were always on my back, always swearing at me. Sometimes they even beat me up, took everything I had. To make a bit of coin, I started going to the tavern across the road, entertaining the rich gents with jokes, playing the fool. Sometimes someone would throw me a half-groschen. One time, Kuno turned up there, and I got to talking with him. When I told him all the shit I was getting at the bakery, he offered to take me with him.
I bet you were glad to get out of there.
Yeah, though it's not like they give me much peace here either. It's all,
Jakey, come here. Jakey, go there. Jakey, get that.
Well, surely you can't be any worse off here than in the bakery.
no. Only, at the bakery, the worst I ever got was a beating. It's not like my life was in danger. But here, when those Beerman brothers are drunk, I have to keep well out of sight.
How come they bullied you at the bakery? It's usually the shy ones bullies pick on. That's not exactly you.
Not now, maybe. I learned a thing or two since then.
Oh, come on, you shy? You just said you were playing the fool and telling jokes in the tavern.
All right, I'll tell you the truth. They picked on me because I'm an orphan. The parish priest of St. Apollinaires in Prague found me as a baby in the church one winter's morning. I spent half my childhood in parish houses and half on the street.
I see. That must have been tough.
It still is tough, I can tell you that. 'Cause 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 'cause
Stefan, can you tell me something about yourself?
What is it you want to know, youngster?
I'm curious how you ended up in Kuno's band.
You noticed I don't exactly fit in with this pack of felons and reprobates, huh? Unfortunately, you can't always choose your company, can you?
No, I suppose not. But how did you come to be with them?
Oh, well, I'd love to tell you, but Kuno insisted we keep that between the two of us. And I'm not one to break a confidence.
Oh. But, well, Kuno said it was you who wanted to keep it secret.
Really? Are you sure about that? You must have misunderstood him.
No, I don't think so. At least... Oh, never mind. So, where did you live before? What did you do?
I used to live in a town before. Back there I was doing something very different. Although, now I think of it, maybe it wasn't that different in a way. If you know what I mean.
Actually, I haven't the foggiest idea what you mean. You don't give anything away, do you?
Me? I'm an open book, lad. Ask me anything you like, and I'll give you an honest answer. Go on.
Maybe another time. My head's starting to spin.
As you wish. Shame, though. There's nothing I enjoy more than conversing.
De futueo et cabalum tuum? What's it mean? Horse, that's fucking good. You're priceless, you are.
Tell me something about yourself.
What do you want to know?
How did you and Jan end up with Kuno?
Me and my brother been riding with coin men since we was little. This was just another mercenary band for us. But Kuno seemed like a decent kind of fellow who'd treat us fair.
Your brother was saying you rode before with some Kalini fella.
He did he? Did he tell you why we finished with him?
Yeah, he said you missed Bohemia.
Ha ha! Miss Bohemia! That's good! Ha ha ha! But it ain't far from the truth. Jan missed any place where he wouldn't have a band of furious Italians looking to skin him alive.
Ah. He did something to anger them.
Oh, aye. While Collini was away, he broke into the trunk where the coin was kept. Took it all and wagered it with a fellow who claimed his bear knew how to dance, and lost it all.
What? The bear really did dance?
Aye. The costliest Chardash we ever watched. We had to get the fuck out of there before Collini came back, and had the two of us dancing, on the end of a rope.
To his neighbour and says, "Look, the girl's not the brightest, but she's got a kind soul. She'll do anything to please you. And I'll even throw in my best cock as a dowry." So, the neighbour agrees and marries the girl. The day after the wedding, the father comes by to see how the newlyweds are getting on. To his surprise, he sees the groom kneeling in the courtyard over the cock, which is lying dead on the ground. "Jesus," he says, What happened here? Well, the wife says to me, what can I do to please you? And I says to her, well, you can grab my cock and squeeze it, and don't stop squeezing till it's stiff.
Jakey sent me to you. Something about a ring?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you want me to get it from someone?
Mm-hmm.
Who has it? Jakey? Jan Berman? You mean Kuno? Peter Berman? I didn't quite... Is it fletching? Does Dangler have it? All right. How should I get it?